Welcome to the spot. It's time to ignite. Oh yeah. Operation Hangout. The feeling's just right. Chilling with the crew. We're ready to groove. Opinions flying high. Come on, let's move. Hang out all night long, all night. Laughing and debating, playing our song. Oh yeah. Share your thoughts, don't be shy, don't be shy. Operation Hangout, let's reach for the sky. Let's fly. Pull up a chair, let's get in the zone. Voices blending smooth like a funky trombone. Oh yeah. Topics from the heart, making us think. With a twist and a shout, raise up your drink. Cheers! Hang out all night long, all night. Laughing and debating, playing our song. Oh yeah. Share your thoughts, don't be shy, don't be shy. Operation Hangout, let's reach for the sky. Let's fly. Bring it down, shake it up, feel the beat. With every word we share, the circle's complete. Living loud, think it proud, that's what we do. Oh yeah. Join the club, come on through, we're waiting for you. Alright. Hang out all night long, all night. Laughing and debating, playing our song. Oh yeah. Share your thoughts, don't be shy, don't be shy. Operation Hangout, let's reach for the sky. Let's fly. Hang out.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back at it again. Of course, another episode of the Spartan. Oh no, hang on. What am I saying? Let's get rid of that echo. Okay, here we go. So, yes, of course, you're at. Let me try this the third time. Of course, we're at the channel that is the best channel you can come to, and that is Spartan SQ Network. I am your host, Ghostar Sparta. I can't do this by myself. I have my man, the most incredible person in the world, the most biggest gigolo. We also know him as Groot. Why is my sound effects weird? There we go. Mr. Gigolo, yes, I'm talking to you. Pay attention. How are you, David?
If I'm the juggler, I would think everybody else woman. So I don't think you want me to become a juggler. I'm the bear paw. Okay? I am not the gigolo.
You've reached your limit on talking. Shut the fuck up.
All right, before we get into the show, I got a story to tell everybody. It's story time today. All right, I kind of told you a little in backstage before we launched the show. So I was at work today, minding my own goddamn business. My phone goes off. All right, David, do you know who called me today?
I wonder who.
It was a scam. So I answered the phone. I don't know my mom's doctor.
Question: Did they sound Middle Eastern?
Yes. Wait, it gets better. It gets better. So I answered the phone. I thought it was no ID, so maybe it was one of my mom's doctors, whatever. I call and he goes, "Sir, do you know?" He goes, "How are you?" I'm like, "Great, you." I'm like, "Oh, I know where this is going." When I heard his voice, he goes to me, "Well, would you like to win a free? No, not for any. Would you like a free Portugal?" You know what? Yeah, I would. I went to him. We just need your social security and your birth. Oh, absolutely. My postal code is like blah 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 blah. It comes up in front of 005 999 2223. I was on the phone for him over a fucking hour. When he finally he says, "What part of it? You agree or some shit like that?" I go, "Yeah, I agree." Oh yeah. By the way, can you repeat my social security number to make sure you have it right? You guys, oh no, you got it wrong. It's 1-800. Go fuck yourself. And he goes, and he flipped the fuck out, bro. I had him on the phone for an hour going. And they've been calling me for every hour on the hour. So this is what we're gonna do, ladies and gentlemen, who's watching this tonight. If they call me during the show, we're gonna fuck with them a little more. What do you think, David? Should we fuck with him a little more? The speaker's here. The phone is gonna be right under the speaker, so everybody can hear it. Everybody's gonna hear this scam artist. We're going to blast this motherfucker.
I'll just say this: they're bored as hell. To be perfectly honest with you,
Imagine how pissed I get it when you
extremely,
fuck with them.
extremely, extremely bored. They, they like to bore people left and right, front and center, just to call people for the take or calling me with all type of nonsense. Like they got nothing better to do. Now, don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah,
Some of them are successful.
that's what they call a
They're
scam
successful
artist,
getting the
bro.
dumb. They, they're successful getting the dumb white people who fall for it. Okay, though. But you call for that people who got no time for the. They were trying to see they can get you, but they don't. Then again, these people doing this scam are mostly not in the U.S. Because there's a YouTuber who is a cybersecurity expert have been hacking to these people's scam centers. You know what I said? Scam centers, meaning they got people doing scam for a living, and they make money off that. Which I was like, what? Can I make this shit up at all?
Absolutely not.
They they got scam cent. I'm like, shit. Come on,
Oh yeah. All right, David. Let's get into
come
this.
on.
So my
All right.
shirt says it today. I wore it specifically for you. Yeah, don't get excited, David. The title says it. Teen Mutant Ninja Turtles. The floor is yours. Let me see what you have on this.
Well, I'm going to different camera angles. Forgive me, guys. I'm just trying to test some tricks out that might work for me. I kind of grew up watching Ninja Turtles in the early 90s. Monday to Friday afternoon coming after school. It should be on WPIX 11. Wherever I was on that station, that to be channel 11. Into multiple changes, but it's what it is. The first version was kind of like, yeah, nostalgia. It was cool at its time until we start to realize the storyline started to change. You see a couple of other adaptations. Some adaptation was cool. Some adaptation was more like WTF. Well, other the kind of like I don't know what to put it. And they had live action movie. Not a live action. Uh, how about I let him do just? I got mixed feelings on that. That is, I don't know. It is kind of crazy. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle have been a pastime for a lot of young boys throughout the 90s. It was cool. It was funny. Then you had the game, the arcade game they had was considered to be one of the best of all time. At that moment, you either go to the arcade center, you bring your peers, your friend, you make sure you have like what $5 worth of coins so you can all beat the game. Hope you can beat the game. It was that kind of thing. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle was a thing that a lot of people who go back then loved it. for what it was. Hey, Eric, how you doing? Welcome to the show. I'm waiting for everybody to come in, but I'll tell you this though. I only like maybe two or three versions of Ninja Turtle, but the rest is questionable. The game was great, some of it, but not all of it. But I don't know. You will see how you actually feel after the show continue. We will not spill all the beans yet. Let's get the host back up in here while I'm
All
messing
right.
around. With that
Okay, you mentioned you like a few of the movies, right?
Some of it, the live action, I was trying to feel it, but I don't know. It felt like something missing because the live
Okay,
action,
which
it
go
was
ahead,
more
go ahead, finish
buff.
your saying.
Then the live action movie made the Ninja look way more buff than what we saw in the anime. It was more like,
Oh,
yeah,
which movie are you talking about? First of all, that's what I want to
but
know first. Which movie are you talking about?
I wonder if that was the case. But then again, they did a live.
But by the way,
I
what
don't
movie are
know.
you talking about? First of
Remember the one that came all the theater, the Ninja Turtle, the Teenage Mutant Ninja 1 and 2.
all, okay, the
Hold on,
originals you're talking
correction.
about.
Now I'm no, hold on, hold on. I'm glad you mentioned what movie because there was a movie before that. The original first three was all right. The latest
Okay,
one that came out with a revamp put on a pack of more muscles on them,
they made it more mutant-like. The reboots.
pretty
So
much.
okay, so Ninja Turtles one movie, I thought was good. I actually like. I still think it's a good movie. It holds up. One of my classics, personally. The second one is my fucking favorite one. I think they killed it with that fucking movie. I think it was the best movie of all three. Now, what was the third one? Time traveling or some shit like that. It was okay. It wasn't great. It was okay. Now the reboots. The first one I liked. It wasn't oh my god, I'm gonna watch this every week kind of damn thing. No, I don't think so. But was it entertainment? Yes. Was it a decent revamp? Yes. Was it as good as the first original? Absolutely not. So the anime, I don't know if you know about the anime at all. The anime continues from the third one down movie.
Hmm.
That wasn't a bad movie, to be honest with you, bro. I thought it was a decent movie. But let me ask you a question before we get too deep into this. Do you know the original source of the Ninja Turtles?
You know what? That is a good question to ask because I thought, forgive me if I may be wrong, I thought the first one had the original source, but
No,
as
it did not.
time progressed, no, that what I thought. No, that's what I said. I thought it did. Remember, that was the first one that came out, but I forgot that the original source actually came from the comic books. There was actually a comic book on Ninja Turtle. I never got the chance to read that, but based on the art on the comic book, did not match the first animated series that came out. Am I correct?
Correct in a way. So the original Ninja Turtles was very, very dark. It was very bloody too. That was I'm trying. Eric, help me out here. You probably know. What was the original here? The original Ninja Turtles movie comic book came out. I'm trying to look it up right now. But it was a great series. But when they redid everything into the anime first, the cartoon, the 80s, if I remember correctly, they had to soften it down a lot because of kids.
That's totally
Does that
correct.
make sense?
It does.
All right, I
Hold
am
on.
actually bringing it up.
Ain't
I'm
got
looking
lower
for
that
it.
thing?
I'm sorry.
Talk to my kid. Hold on.
All right, guys. The original art. Here's some pictures of the original art. I just looked it up. Actually, I'm gonna till David gets back with us. So I'm gonna share my screen right now. Um, this is some of the original art right here. If you see it, it was very gruesome and very bloody of the original stuff. I'm gonna try and find more
Yeah,
images.
that what I seen picture. That was the original. It was more
I
darkish, but the art style of it was not like of the anime version. The one
correct.
they had the CGI version that they did episode whereby they went in time and saw the original Ninja Turtles.
Bingo. That was
Yeah,
with the reboot of the 2000s. I want to say.
I believe. I think
Yeah.
that reboot was kind of classic
Hmm.
because it paid homage to all the other, and it brought back all the other versions of Ninja that have been created. So it kind of like showed that okay, we came a long way, but this version that we're doing should be the best version so far.
Okay,
But
so
then
here's an
again,
article I just
yeah.
looked. I just found. Okay, so it says here the original magazine studio of TMN TMNT Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic series is significantly darker and more mature than the modern kid-friendly version. The Ninja Turtles originally traded and trained to kill. Keyword: trained to kill,
Mm,
and they brought action shows than in Murder Light from the Stars. In other words, in English definition, meaning it was fucking dark.
mm.
It was very brutal. It wasn't like an every some. It wasn't something you give your kid, your 8-year old. Here, son, read this comic. I think is cool. Or you're at a comic book store with your kid, like, Daddy, I want that. You're like, yo, oh no, 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 you're not buying that. It was a bit too dark for them. Go ahead, David.
I
We
can
got.
imagine. No, because I'm glad you brought that up because when I think about that, I was like, why would they switch when bringing the original Ninja Turtle to TV when they had to water down some of the content?
Yeah.
What are really behind that?
So Eric said in the comments, he says he thinks it's 84 or 85. I actually found the original date that was released was 84. Actually, thank you, Eric, my man. I can always
Hmm.
use you as my pop culture Wikipedia. Um, it was extremely dark. An original comic. I'm actually looking at the price right now. If you can find one, it's over $2,000.
Hmm. Crazy.
That's that's a chump change, bro. But go ahead, finish what you're going to say before.
Then I was looking at is this Ninja Turtle, old Ninja Turtle was darker for a mature audience. I wonder why can you bring that one out first instead of you water it down and you got so many adaptations. Now I realize there's an original form it has, but you do not want us to see that. Like,
Hmm.
what, what's the point of doing that? Seriously, what was the
I
point
have
of
no
that?
idea.
God, I wonder about it several times over, and I'm like, I'm just saying, there had to be a reason why you do what you do because what if the original version were ever to come alive on TV and were better than all these ones they put out there? How far could they have gone with it? You get
And
what I'm saying?
they could have gone very far. Actually, they're making a movie called The Last Ronin, and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin, when Ralph is the last surviving turtle, and he goes outrage. He kills almost everybody there. So Eric says there was also a book on the heels of them called or I and oh, I'm sorry, they called and a kid. You're not the black
Mm,
belt hammers. Am I saying that right? I'm not familiar with that, to be honest, with you, Eric. I'm not familiar with that one at all. Are you, David? Because look it up
the
right now.
adolescent radioactive black belt hamster. No, nope. Mm-mm. That's out of the blue for me.
Yeah, me too. To be honest with you, the only other person that I may know something about that is Angry Elf, and he's going to be with us later. Um, okay, let me see what I got here.
Mm.
I'm getting too much information on this. You know what? Let me do this instead. All right. So it says public history. The series it was the first published in Epic Comics in 1986. One of
Mm.
the numbers was a black and white market of time. Okay, I see where they're going with this. This is supposed to be like a very, very dark version of it. So I'm not familiar with it at all. So it's something I got to research a little more. And hey, I learned something new too. I'm not Mr. King Pop Culture. That's EQ and Eric. You guys are Kings of Pop Culture. You guys more about the shit than I do. It looks interesting. I'm not going to deny that. I will definitely something I would definitely love to read if I can get my hands on a copy of that. What do you think, David? Would you run and read that, David? David, David,
I would like
you're
to read
muted.
okay, sorry. I can Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Can you hear me? Sorry, but I would like to read that comic and see for
yes.
my make my own judgment because if I found out the original comic is completely different but better than what we have been watching on TV, then we have an issue.
See, here
We
is my issue with between the original content and the movies that we got. I understand they had to milk it down for kids. I get that. I'm not arguing that part one bit. I'm not going to push back on that. I understand toys sell, they need a comic book store, and I get that. But they could have made an adult version of it too. So my thing with this is what if we actually got the what's the word I'm looking for? We got the I'm trying to put the words together now. The original comic book in a movie, bloody, slicing people's heads, all that shit. What do you think, David?
I will agree with you because how many anime or cartoon actually you have seen that have adult theme that did successfully well and they have multiple seasons?
A lot of them. Look at
Let's think
Gundam.
about that part.
Yeah, yeah, Gundam. You have Dragon Ball
There you
Z.
go.
People forget
There
with the versions we get
you
here in
go.
America, they're watered down too.
I know. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all.
Exactly. So it's just one of those things like you question, like how would it have been? Now, let me ask you a question: the three top movies of the Ninja Turtles, one, two, and three. So I call them top three. Which one you think? You had to pick one. Which one of those three is your favorite?
The Secret of the Ooze
Why?
is the storyline, the origin story. It kind of like made a unique connection to it.
I agree 100%.
That was for me.
I think it was the.
Because here's the thing:
Go ahead.
no, the thing that when you come to these type of movies, you want to build a strong connection with the audience. So that'll be our story to where these people come from, and that kind of like did its job like it's supposed to be. Don't get me wrong.
Okay.
I wish that movie got a award. It was cool at the time. But you know how people look at down on live action adaptation of a comic book. They have some issue about it. I digress.
Okay, let me ask you this question. What do you think was the inspiration of
That's on
creating
me.
Ninja
So
Turtles originally?
say that again.
What do you think the inspiration was in the creators to create a comic book or cartoon like this?
I never thought of that way. In that kind of sense. That's a very, very interesting question. Very.
Okay, so I'll give you their version of it, and I want your version of it, right? You know what? I want your version first. What do you think?
It had to be someone who have a idea of seeing four turtle mutated to a level of degree whereby they get trained martial art and they can't like vigilante, but give it the name of four iconic. I can't say Greek. Yeah, it is Greek. Greek like figures.
Okay,
That's the thing. That's how I look at it, though.
that's all you got. Okay, the
Yeah.
original theory behind it, they were paying homage to the original Daredevil from 1963, 1963, excuse me, which was the young
Hmm.
Matt Murdock. Is blind and he got all this radiation powers and stuff like that. That's where was the inspiration of creating the Ninja Turtles from. Ironic, isn't it?
Hmm. Correct.
So again, now the idea was different. That was the point of it. So I'm reading this article here. Um, uh, Human turtles weapon ninja masks, and karate carrying a katana karate blade was the original idea. The idea of the slowplu slowq, I can't pronounce a fucking word. Turtles as a swift
Hmm.
whipping ninja cracking team up by the end of the event, that the artists have created a different ninja pretty much.
I see.
Did you knew that?
That makes sense.
Now let me ask you a question, another question now. Where do you think how this shredder comes into this? How was he created, you think?
Hmm. It's good that you asked this question because looking back at the original Shredder, which have taken so many different turns, I only agreed to that origin. He was part of a particular clan that
Hmm.
Mataroshi was teaching, and he decided to go his own way, which was totally be the way of evil. That the other one, tend to got caught in the mix, whereby he turned to a splinter or so to speak. That would say, but he was able to train four turtles to come the next level of ninjas. But looking at the shred origin, it kind of like there were so many twists and turns on how he came about, what the origin is. It starts to sound like he almost clueless to what the originality is. React me.
So what their article says, the untold Shredder is the main antagonist and the primary Shredder of the series. According to creators, he serves as the anti-villain. He is of the Turtles and Splinter, and had a hand in their creation. And we know Shredder was the biggest reason why the Turtles were created the way they are.
That is true. Very, very, very true. Very, very. Sorry, guy. I was testing out some softwares,
So
and,
go ahead.
and I was trying to see how I can. Forgive me, guys. But I would say this though. I feel like this shoe, the Ninja Turtle, is something that I'm glad you brought the topic up. I never read the comic. I wish I did. Looking at the twist and turn of the Shredder origin, with the first adaptation makes a epic. Greg, why? Okay, no, that stuck in my head. Then later
Oh,
on,
Krang,
if you
Brain.
notice, tell me if I'm wrong. On later adaptation start to make it whereby Shredder seemed more dark than a punk,
Hmm.
but falling back on the turtle side of them being dark. I find it very strange. So it kind of like, I went to the level of consistency. What would the end game? What would the when they pick what they pick? That's what I'm looking at. Interested. You got me thinking.
So
Look,
here's
I
the
mean, you know
here's the
what?
twist how the
Topic. This the only topic got me thinking deep about the whole franchise. Like, what
hang on a second. I'm gonna tell you how dark
what
this
is
is.
it?
And
What is it
here's
supposed to
a
be?
piece of an article. Hang on, David. Hang on. Let me read this for you before you get too ahead. You want to think, but I'll make you think even
Okay.
more now. In the end, Michelangelo meets his end against the Foot Clan, but not before talking to Splinter, taking Splinter down. Excuse me, taking Shredder down with him. However, he can leave behind a journey that belongs to Master Splinter with April. It continues the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles legend in the magazine. Gets better. His final, he finally returns with the
Mm,
splinter of this. Damn it, I can pronounce it backwards. The splinter of his death, brothers and splinter are coming death. Now go ahead,
oh boy.
David. Every time you change cameras, you're freezing really bad, dude. So just keep on one camera, please.
Sorry about that, guys.
No, you're good. You're
I was
good.
trying to see if I can pull it off. I wanted to have multiple angle, so I was trying to get the right software allow me to do that. And I realized the laptop is not that strong for it. Okay.
So
I'm out of
here's
that.
the
That's
other
a
part of
soul.
this. All right, the 2020 03 to 2010 series is the closest, and not to the T, obviously, the closest to the original comic book series than anything. They say,
Interesting.
David.
That's crazy. Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. It is I'm trying
Yeah,
to fix the camera. I'm glad you said the comic book is closer. But the thing is, they were not trying to follow the comic book at all, which I find very strange.
yeah.
So it's
That
kind
and
of
that's
like
why they're working on
they're making
the
all
Ninja
kind of
Turtles.
move.
Absolutely, they have a lot of material. The Ninja Turtles, believe it or not, that we haven't even seen half the shit right now. Nowhere near half what originally has happened. To be straight up to you, you know what I'm saying?
And I get it. And I totally get it. Because I've watched a lot of Ninja Turtles adaptation. One was kind of like punkish. One seemed alright. The one that seemed kind of like questionable, whereby these Ninja Turtles ended up turning into dragons. I was like,
All right, let's get the guy in here,
Hey
Mr.
guys,
President.
hey guys, I'm just checking in. I'll be home in about 15 minutes. We did the hard part of the drive, so I'm almost home. Just grabbing a little something here, and so I'll be joining you guys in a few. Just give me. I just wanted to check in.
All right, dude, you don't need to check in. Just
you,
make it safe. That's all
I
we
got
all
you.
care about.
We're like 5 minutes from home, so I'll be with you guys in a few.
All right,
So good.
just
oh, he not,
make sure you get home
he's in
safe,
the armor car.
and you don't let your wife kill you. That's all I care about. End of the day.
She's right here. Why don't you say hi? So
All right. Can I ask her a question really fast?
I guess, but watch your mouth.
I will watch my mouth for once. All right. How big is his life insurance? I know a person of a person of a person. So if you want to hit me up later, me and you can have a little conversation. I only take 2%. That's 2%. That's all I'm asking for.
It's a conspiracy. Conspiracy. Yeah. I'll see you guys in a few.
Hey,
Bye.
drive safe, my man. All right, seriously.
And you had a laughing hard. You have a laughing hard. She was like, "Oh Lord, this guy gonna
And
ask this
honestly,
question."
bro, I told her before. I tell her again. I told Paul this. If she's listening, I hope she does listen to this. When I met her, she was such a sweetheart, and I knew Paul's wife was a sweetheart. I'm not denying that, man. I was like, wow, she is a sweetheart. She probably doesn't have an evil bone in her. I'm like, if they're arguing, it's like, you know how most women will throw a frying pan. No, she'll probably throw a pillow at him or something like that. That's how sweet the woman is, and he got lucky. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But you know what? That reminds me. I have a surprise for you.
Uh,
Should I show you now or when Paul gets on?
no problem. I'm still waiting for the surprise. You keep mentioning that
No, wait, ladies and gentlemen, boys and
because
girls,
he,
I have a big surprise. When Mr. President, aka Paul Bennett, comes back out, we're gonna show David his big surprise. It's something he always wanted. He's been bugging about this all his life. That's how important this is to him. You're making you think now, isn't it?
I'm thinking what it is.
It's fine, David. I got you, man. I told you, I got
I'm
you.
thinking like what? I'm. I hate what I have to think because when I have to think, I'm wondering what could it be. Hmm.
Oh, there's a lot.
Oh,
Trust me.
Eric is there. Eric like I was at the wedding. And she's been the total blood. Yes, she is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Mr. Paul had land the right one.
Listen, I always say
It's hard.
one thing. All right,
Mhm.
is If a woman can put up with your ass for as many years Paul has with her, you're good.
Sometimes I don't think it's put up. It could be something about I don't know what it is. It could be something about a person that just want to be there longer than expected. When you find out one person that you feel like, nah, how somebody said this: if you find a person that you can never live without, like you got to have that person in your life. That's the person you've been looking for. That it feel I don't say it filled a void, but it filled a space that you never thought it was actually there to begin with.
Hmm.
Someone that make you feel like a kid. I've watched couples on TikTok make fool of themselves, right?
Absolutely.
Now you would think it's that act, right? But I don't think people understand. But if you have learned a skill set and learn how to study people in their own natural habitat, you will know some people are genuine. Some people are genuinely funny among themselves because they're always having fun in their life. Even that one particular one who his wife always kind of torture him and she's always laughing. So one time he got her back. They had a child together. All he wanted the child to say mama. But whenever say mama, it would say dada. So it ended up reversing. He said like, oh, if the boy can say mama to you, right? And say no say dada, right? I will give you 5,000, right? 5,000 of my pounds. So she tell who is he? He said mama. And she was like, I like this boy, this guy trained his son good. He got her back in the worst way possible. It was so genuine. And the baby boy did not know what was going on. He didn't do what his dad told him to do. I don't know how he did it, but it was classic. But it's funny though. But I could tell that couple is genuine. Then another couple like that where they are comical. When I say comical, the guy is Jamaican. I think the girl is either Spanish, Latino, whatever. But you can tell their chemistry is ridiculously funny. That if you're around them, you cannot help but just look at them like, please don't do nothing stupid right now. 'Cause I don't want to laugh when I'm drinking. I'm drinking a beer. Don't do anything stupid that make me wanna. And you just watching them, and you envy their chemistry, but you know they're having too much fun, way too much fun. Those kind of people are very rare to find. You know that?
Oh, absolutely.
Very, very, very
Absolutely.
rare.
But let's honestly let's get back on topic for a minute. Like
I didn't forget the topic because we were talking about the ninjas and everything. I'm glad you brought the comic book. You have me going deep in my thought,
that's scary.
looking at all the adaptations on the multiple Ninja Turtles that came out. Add to the first three movies that I consider iconic to me until they did a revamp. I thought the question something is off here. There's a feeling to me that they're not really touching the true origin and it's not done properly. That's one thing that came to my mind. That's the first thing that came to my mind. Second of all, if you want to do it justice, does it have to be animated into a cartoon or to an anime or it's done just to doing CGI?
Mm.
You see how I put it
Okay,
out there
I
like
have a
that,
thing with
right?
CGI. For a second. I need to get this off my chest. I think CGI is cheating. To be straight up with everybody.
Okay, you say it's cheating. Now, I beg to differ because let me tell you why I say it's not cheating. We're not going away from the topic. That's within the realm of the topic because when it comes to production, sometimes you need to understand how difficult it is to make it picture perfect. I don't think CGI is cheating because some people don't know how to utilize the functionality to its fullest. Perfect example. Remember we talked about the Final Fantasy movie?
Hmm.
We had a concept about it, right? The America made their own chant to make the version of the Final Fantasy movie, which they were far off from the franchise. but the producer of the game itself decided to teach American this is how you do a Final Fantasy movie. And it was CGI, but the level of perfection in it, the work they put in it, the camera angle, the fight scene, it will have you dropping your jawline. Huh?
No, that was a very good.
Now,
But they
now,
had
now, and now imagine you have that footage to watch either in 4K or 8K. That's how you use CGI to a level of perfection. So I don't call it cheating because they said when they did that movie for the Final Fantasy, they put so much hour to make sure every hair look realistic. The floor, the clo. You know how much work that is?
you know how long it took to make that movie too?
More than 10,000 hours.
It took like almost like 5 years. I heard.
Big. I'm glad you see. 5 years CGI.
Well, tell me a second. Which Final Fantasy movie are we talking about? The two CGI ones.
The second one, not the first one in American that was garbage.
Are we talking about the other one that was
This,
they called Spirits of something?
yeah, that one
That was the
was a
first one actually,
revamp,
and
and
that was
that
American.
the first one was American. The second one wasn't.
Yeah, the second one was off Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, but it was done. It was also produced by the same producer that produced the game. 'Cause remember, the cuts. You see the Final Fantasy cutscene? It's almost movie-like. You know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when they put that into an actual movie, it's like no, they wasn't playing around. They were not playing around at all.
Okay, the first one it was 2001 called Final Fantasy the movie. The Spirits Within was made in America.
It was garbage.
That was like an extremely good movie, bro. What are you talking about? If we're saying what we're talking about here,
The, fit-
if we're saying,
the American one wasn't all that great.
are you talking about this one?
Yeah, that was garbage.
This is that one of the CGI that the graphics were on point. You're talking about. Yeah, I think you got your
No, no,
movies
no, 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 no,
backwards.
no, 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 no. The second one, way better than that.
The second one you're talking about is Final Fantasy VII movie. Hang on, let me find it.
That was the original Final Fantasy movie, and that did better than the first one that you were
No,
talking about. Yes, that one.
this one was that wasn't
Alvin Children was way better. That one was way better.
story.
And mind you,
Because it had already a background story. That's why. But
I know
hang on, David.
but here's the thing.
The
Okay,
CGIs. The first one was better. You know what I'm saying?
then this
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And when you're watching it,
what?
when the last time you watched it, my dude?
Dude, I had the DVD itself, my brother.
And I'm not disagreeing with that.
I got
Go ahead.
I watched the first. I watched the Filter Within because when I heard Final Fantasy, I was thinking the franchise of the game. When I went to the theater to watch that, I was like, CGI was all right, but I was like, dude, this is far from the story. Like,
Yeah,
what the hell is
they
this
didn't
doing?
want to go off the story, and that's the point of it.
Why? Why I call it Final Fantasy?
Yeah.
Because
Okay,
anyone who follows,
name any Final Fantasy that follows any storyline, because everyone is different. Except seven.
I mean, the game itself,
Yeah, name anyone but seven that follow. It had like one, two, three. Do they ever follow together? Story, or they change up every time?
no, the after Advent Children 7, there was another one that put to follow that one. They followed a bit on the storyline, but that's only 2 or 3 movies that's out there. They didn't make so many Final Fantasy movies.
Well,
But the second one was way better than the first one. 'Cause it was all over the news when people talk about they're like yo, this is like the camera angle, like dude, this is unreal. The fight choreography, everything was like, dude. Not pushing it.
Oh yeah, that part that was very good. I'm not denying that part one bit. What I'm saying for what it was, what type of movie it was, Final Fantasy, you have to give it credit when it's due. The CGI graphics were on point to even to this day. That hold up to the day. The
Hmm.
first one, the graphics. When you're watching it, you have to literally stop and think about what you're watching sometimes because it makes you. All right, guys, give me a second. I gotta get this guy in here. You know, he's a lost
Good.
elf.
Good.
He's angry. Angry elf is in the house.
Cowabunga dudes. Or should I say Chevy Nova or Bossa Nova?
Yeah. I'm surprised you're not wearing your Ninja Turtle costume.
I don't have a Ninja Turtles costume. The best I have is maybe a T-shirt, but I just came from that hockey game, so yeah, I see. I see.
And I got it from Comic Con.
Nice. Nice.
All right.
Don't worry, you go there next
All
year.
right. Before he actually was supposed to go. Was it 2 years ago? You were supposed to come with us, and you couldn't because you were traveling for work. Was it 2 years or 3 years ago? Was it?
It was NY Comic Con
I think it was 3 years. If I'm not
23.
mistaken.
Yeah, it was almost 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yep.
Before we get into the topic, I'll give you the floor. I want to ask you a question because me and him are arguing about this right now. We went off topic.
Uh-oh.
Final Fantasy.
Uh,
Have you watched both of the movies?
the what?
Final Fantasy movies. Have you watched them?
I watched the first one like years ago, like when it first came out, but no, I'm
The
not a big
graphics.
Final Fantasy guy.
Tell me the graphics. Do you think the graphics on the set and that movie was beyond good and they still hold up to this day?
Oh yeah, those graphics were sick. Absolutely sick.
All right, let's get Wally in here really fast.
Oh.
Oh, he's warming up already. He's gonna
Mm.
argue. All right, before we have a big fight, let's get you guys your
Oh,
opening
I'm
thoughts.
just coming in, man. I'm just coming in. No.
I
Well,
let
like you like to
I mean,
cook up
I'm
in here.
late, so you know what I'm saying. Like, I'm just want to make sure where we at here. With this.
listen as
Like you ready to
I'm
cook.
gonna appoint myself as Splinter tonight. As Splinter, I'm gonna tell you, peace, my children. No arguing. I don't think that's gonna happen. I'm sorry. So, Elf, you want to go
Late.
first with your opening thoughts, then Wally go next.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start with opening thoughts. I mean, Ninja Turtles, dude, it's been 40 years. Actually, I think 40 years was last year, but 40 years of Turtles, and that stuff has not died down at all. I mean, I wish I could pan the camera, but I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shelves that I have of turtle figures. I've been a Turtles fan since uh that cartoon popped up on screens in what 88? Was it 88? I think it was 88. I
87.
mean, God, and I've loved turtles ever since. I've seen every single turtle movie. So loved some of them. Uh didn't really like some others, but dude, turtles doesn't die. In fact, I've had to tell myself no more collecting turtle stuff. You've got enough. Got to focus on other stuff. But God, I love turtles. Yes, I absolutely love turtles, especially that first movie. That first movie, that was epic. Ninja Turtles fucking rocks.
Wally, you mute it. You mute it.
No, I hear
You got a mute monster.
No, well, of course, but no, no, because I was on the other screen and I had to look back and I was like, oh, why is it quiet? I'm like, oh, okay, you have me on the screen and you don't say nothing. With that said, nonetheless, Teenage Ninja Turtles, man, look, truly one of my many childhood shows, one of the great ones. It's just that one in peculiar season that they just made that literally changed the whole fragment of the whole thing. Are we freaking serious? Are we gonna sit here and talk about these Ninja Turtles are dealing with some aliens? I'm just honestly like you went from human to now just he's really an alien and that's just a suit. I'm gonna stop right there. He want to put that on, and I let this would stop right there. So see, that's how funny this is.
All right. The original series. Hang on one second. The original series. I was saying earlier to David. Not original, the original comic book, and I think you may know this Elf more than anybody. And I think Wally too. It was very dark, if you guys remember. Right. Did you? Anybody? I haven't read. I don't. David had. Any of you guys two read the original Ninja Turtle series?
Said read the books.
Yeah. Rob, you awake?
Angry Elf. I don't know if you heard.
Did you fall
The
asleep on
camera
us?
seemed kind of blurry.
All right, like
It's
till he
tight.
fixes his gear. Did about you, Wally? Did you read the original series?
Read? No. Once again, as always, one of the many sad things about my childhood of watching these shows is I never get to read the actual material like most other people lucky enough to have. But yeah, I was morally the shows, so yeah, I never got to read the original material.
Let me ask you this question because I know you're probably the most youngest guy on the planet right now. Rob, that's fine. You can drop in, come back in. Let's get Paul in here really fast, and I'll come back to you. Give me 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. Please rise once again for the second comment of the president.
Oh, so I'm shocked.
Now it's the second coming. Now we can't use hyperbole here, so no second comings. I'll
Paul,
save
I am happy
I'll
you
save
made
that
it
for
home.
somebody else.
I'm happy you made it home safe.
Yes.
Yeah. I hope your wife got a kick out of what I was saying to her, by the way.
Yeah, just gave her some ideas.
Oh Lord.
Listen. Listen.
So this is why I can't be hanging out with these single dudes, man. Single dudes be trying to, they be trying to ruin some stuff, man. So
Listen. I never said that we're gonna really whack you. We can pretend you're whacked.
mm-hmm.
You always want to move to a different country, like. All right, Paul, Ninja Turtles. What's your open thoughts on that?
That's a broad statement. Look, I never read the comics, but this is another example of the hypocrisy that happens with comic books and comic book readers. From what I understand, I never read the comic, but from what I understand, the original black and white, dark TMNT comics was a very dark type of comic, very seriously taken, and all that stuff with the Cowabungas and dudes and all that kind of stuff and pizza and all that came later. I didn't hear from nobody that, they're changing the original thing. This isn't my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that I was reading and whatnot. Oh, the book was better. I didn't hear any of that. So that's why some of you guys, the way you guys move, talking about books versus movies, you guys, again, all y'all, hypocrites, all of you. So if you wanted the original Ninja Turtles, then that should have been, y'all should have been fighting that battle almost 30 years ago. I didn't hear jack. All right. So, but my first experience with the Ninja Turtles was actually twofold. It was the movie that came out in '88 from, why am I here in Jeopardy?
Because your man's a dick.
Why am I here in Jeopardy? He can run all he wants. Look, the truth convicts the guilty. So he knows exactly what I'm saying. So I don't want to hear from him. I don't want to hear from none of these.
Honestly, for once, Paul, I'm actually gonna be on your side. You're 100% right.
Hypocrites.
Absolutely.
So
I never read the original comic, but from my understanding, from every source of materials I have looked, read, and found out, it was very dark. They got inspiration from the Daredevil. I had it before Daredevil 87, I think, some shit like that. No, 67. But that's where when Daredevils were very dark too. That's
Mhm.
where it came from. I know Paul and Rob are you guys are a lot older, a lot wiser, and a lot grayer than me. Paul, Rob, did you?
Thanks.
Hey, you're welcome, my man, and I love you too. Did you read the original any chance?
I've read portions of it throughout my. I haven't read the entire Mirage run, but I've read portions of it. Um, and so yes, it was very dark, and yes, it took a lot of inspiration from um, Daredevil. Like for instance, Daredevil's master or the guy that trained him was named Stick, and the Turtles' master is named Splinter. Daredevil fights a ninja clan from Japan known as the Hand, and the Turtles fight a ninja clan from Japan known as the
Yep.
Foot. So that's where the inspiration came from. In fact, there's a little side story or whatever. The the original ooze or the radioactive material that mutated the turtles was supposedly the same radioactive material that got splashed on Matt Murdock that gave him his extrasensory abilities, and it just trickled down into the sewers and got on the turtles. And so it's not official, but it's kind of like some sort of weird, like not even B canon, but maybe C canon, that the turtles and Daredevil share the same universe, but it's not
Yeah,
official.
it was
Official.
a
It's just some like little
homage. They
gag.
did an homage to Daredevil. That's what the original story was.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
What about you, Paul? Have you any chance to read the original?
No. I found all that out later on because, like I said, just going back to my story. So again, the '88 movie, which was certainly a sort of like an underground hit. Like nobody knew. Like this was new. The New Line Cinema, I think, came out with it, and everybody was like, just blown away
Mm-hmm.
from. They even played it at at Rutgers. They were playing it in the theaters at Rutgers and whatnot. It was so popular. And you also had the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle video game that came out. So this is like 88, 89. They put it in our arcade at the student center. So you had that, and then shortly thereafter, you had the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I guess it was like a Saturday morning cartoon that came out. So it was like all these things. It was like Ninja Mania, like the late 80s into the early 90s, and everybody was just kind of getting wind of it. And it was very popular. I thought the movie itself, I thought I was blown away by the choreography. They got some real martial artists in there. I think I forget the kid. He was like this martial arts kid. I forget his name. I think his name is Reyes. But
yeah, the second movie, right?
Yeah, you're the young kid.
the first movie, it was they had these guys, and again, what they were able to do in those costumes was very believable. The martial arts, the spinning kicks and whatnot, they did a lot to make it work with the animatronics they were doing in the faces, and then when it came to the fighting, they were actually able to pull it off. And so I thought it was very well done in that vein. Eric, yeah, I got Eric to see it, but yes, Ernie Reyes Jr. He was in it. Yeah, but I know Eric. He was blown away by the woman who played April. He loved April. He saw them long legs and he was just blown away. So he was into her.
Judith Hogue.
First sim
Judith
ever.
Hogue is her name.
Yeah. All I remember seeing is just legs for days. In the first one.
You were the first original simp.
Yeah. So it was very well. But I thought the movie was very well done. It was not expected to do very well in the in the theater. It was just like a B movie, but it definitely was like an underground sort of hit. And I think it made over 100 million or something like that. Which again, in 89, 88,
What?
that was pretty phenomenal at the
And they win no award. I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was definitely underground. It definitely went, but like I was saying though, it was totally different from that of the comics. And I don't know who came up with or who decided. I don't know if that was a studio decision or was it like in later volumes of the comic where they decided to bring on the sort of the more joking, less serious, and California dudes. And I don't know when that was introduced. If that was in the comic first, or did they make it when they decided they were going to come out with a movie? Did they add all that stuff later? That I don't know the timeline when when they became the turtles that we essentially know now. But that started everything. Now, in my personal opinion, everything else since then really hasn't been good, except for the last movie franchise that came out. I thought the first movie of the last franchise that came out, I thought the first one was pretty well done. But the Secret of the Ooze, I don't think was good. And then the third Ninja Turtle movie that came out in the 90s, I don't think that was as good as the first one. I think the first one was like a pleasant surprise. And so I thought they did a great. The only thing that I didn't like about it is, I'm sorry, I'm not going to believe that Splinter learned all his master's martial arts as a rat in his cage, and then when he got the ooze, then he taught it to his boys. I thought the other movie made sense, where he basically got smart, found a book on ninjutsu, and then taught the boys. That makes more sense. But I'm not going to believe that the rat in his cage doing karate moves.
I would agree with you, Paul.
That was I can't buy that. But outside of that nitpick or whatever, again, I thought it was very good.
All right, Rob, you go next, but give me 1 second. So I agree with you, because a cartoon, if you remember, anybody, he learned the original cartoon, not the 2000s, the 80 cartoon. It was a human being.
Correct. They said, they even show you that in the opening credits. Yeah,
and that's his last thing he touched before the turtles was a rat. He became a rat with the ooze. Rob, go ahead. I know you got something to say, bud.
No, I was gonna say was what's surprising is that the 1990s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie was more faithful to the canon of the original comics than one would believe.
Really?
It was the transition from when they decided to turn it into a huge franchise, the comics, that is, produce the action figures by Playmates, who's never lost the Turtles license since they got it in the 80s. And then make the cartoon, is when they decided to, one, give them that California, party on dude type, attitude, and then two, to give them different colored bandanas, because in the comics originally, they were black and white, so they didn't have that, and in some of the artwork, which was colorized, they all had red bandanas. And so it wasn't until they started to, target this towards kids, that they decide to give them colors so they could differentiate, more easily on screen. And yeah, as much as it is hard to believe, yeah, Splinter was a rat that learned how to do ninjutsu from his master, and that's canon. That's canon from the original Mirage, Eastman and Laird comics, and that first movie took like the entire storyline, the entire everything from the comics. In fact, Shredder's first encounter with the Turtles, he ends up dying. And Shredder, he comes back later on in later incarnations and stuff like that, and in these really weird ways. But that was it. Shredder was killed in basically his first encounter with the Turtles. And so it was, what happened is, since Turtle Mania hit, in the late 80s, early 90s, and the movie took off, the studios, one, fast-tracked the sequel, Secret of the Ooze, and two, the other thing they did was these parent organizations were like, hey, we need to tone this down because the violence is too much in these movies. We need to do this, we need to do that. And that's why the second, and that, you had a lot of things change in that second movie. And I'll agree, there's certain parts of it that I like, but I didn't like it. And Turtles in Time, that one was trash. I'm sorry. The only good movie that's come out since then was 2007. There is a complete CGI movie called TMNT, and it's supposed to kind of be a sequel to those original live action movies. It had Chris Evans voiced Casey Jones, Sarah Michelle Gellar voiced April, and Patrick Stewart voiced the big bad guy, which was not a member of the Foot Clan or anything like that. That's as close as a good movie. The what's his name? The Michael Bay movies.
Mm.
were trash.
Yeah.
And
Just to give some additional some numbers.
yeah,
It made in 1990. It wasn't 80. It was 1990. It grossed $202 million on a $13.5 million budget. And at the time, it was the highest grossing independent film of all time at that particular time. So again, to say it was, a phenomena at the time, yeah, it was it
was a
was it
beyond
was
a
it was a
phenomenon. I
blockbuster.
remember as
Yeah.
a kid, if you're not talking about Power Rangers, you're talking about Ninja Turtles. Those are the two hottest topics you get. I remember when those little the nose beaks and the masks you used to get. That was like the hottest toy you can get. Like everybody had like their favorite color. Mine was always Michelangelo back then. Now is Raphael because I think he's a kick-ass guy.
Boy.
Nobody wants to fuck with him. He can punch you in the fucking face. Like,
Hey, can I ask you guys? So who, um, Pete, you were well. All you guys were younger at the time. I was an adult at that time. But who
except Robert.
you said Michelangelo was your favorite?
Back then.
Okay, that was just due to to what the swords or the weapons. I was always into, I guess, the guy with the nunchucks. I'm losing names here because I was
Michelangelo, yeah.
I was a huge Bruce Lee fan at the time, obviously. So anybody using nunchucks in a film, I was like, that was my guy. I was never a
That
fan
was
of the
my
bow
reason.
staff or the
So-
katana swords or whatever. But
Growing up at the time, my two favorite martial art weapons was the bow staff with Donatello, and nunchucks. The nunchucks I thought was incredible. Even learning nunchucks myself, it takes a lot of skill. When you're flipping it around all the time, and if you grab it the wrong way or flip it the wrong way, oh, you're giving yourself a concussion.
yeah,
Or my favorite one, where my instructor says we're not using foam pads, we're using metal ones, and going down to the groin, swinging it hard, and go, oh, boom!
yeah,
And you're like, and let's say the family jewels are not very happy with me that day. I'm like, let's say ice packs wasn't enough.
yeah. Although I've heard the hardest weapon to learn is the sai. Because those things are heavy. They're not like the
No,
real
actually,
ones. Like to twirl them around, like it may not look as impressive, and obviously it's not a long range weapon. But that I hear that's very difficult to learn because the wrist and
believe
grip
it or
strength that you
not,
need in order to wield those things is
it's actually a
impressive.
personal preference.
No, I won't say the size is hard to master. It's just that the fundamental use of it is slightly different. I've used the
Right.
nunchuck. I've used the bow staff. I think the only weapon that is not on the series that it's actually like a staff. I think Donald did something with his staff one time in one adaptation. It ended up being three staff in
Yeah,
one.
yeah. 3-section
That
staff.
is
Yeah,
harder to
yeah.
use. Yeah, three section staff. That is harder to
So
use. I
it's
use the
also
nunchuck. I have three different versions, but the nunchuck, like you mentioned, to master one nunchuck is one thing. Try to master two, it's
yeah.
complicated.
So, David, hang on a second. So, also another part as a sensei myself, part of it is also per person. Everybody's different. Some people can do the bow staff very fast. Some people do nunchucks. Some people hate the katana. It's really in the person. I hated the bow staff when I was younger. I struggled with that bow staff like more than anything. Now, give me a bow staff. I can literally show you 100 different ways to use that. Now I'm very comfortable with it versus something else. Like the
Did you
nunchuck.
ever work with the size though? Those
Yes, I worked with sides. I worked with almost every martial art weapon you can think of. Even
Mhm.
man, I keep forgetting the name of it. Anybody have seen Ninja Assassin movie?
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
been a long time, but
Yeah. So you know the weapon has the chain with the ball and the blade on
Oh,
it.
that
I
that
actually
one hard.
that is extremely hard. I have worked with it. I am not like, oh, I can cut your head with it. Like, nothing like that. I'm not, and like, I'm probably gonna poke my eye out if I try to do anything with that today.
Or your
Like,
balls.
fuck you. Yeah, yeah. You know what, David? This is the time to show your surprise. I think because you're opening your big mouth. All right, I've been telling David all night we have a big surprise for him. All right, let me like let's. I'm gonna put him up a point here, right here. All right, David.
What in the world is we gonna
Is-
do?
Grand Poobah,
You always
you the
wanted,
Grand Poobah.
you always wanted something special, and that's because you're newly single. I thought I would introduce you to a woman. She's your type. She's she wants to know about the African original sausage, and I got a picture of her right here for you, buddy.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Here we go
What
again.
is
Here we
this?
go.
We can
Oh,
leave
I
him back. You
had
would have
to
been some
show-
credit center.
Here we go.
Oh Lord, have mercy.
Yeah. Everybody ready?
No,
No.
She says
We're
she
not
go out for
sure.
dinner with you.
this
Till.
is horrible.
Eric?
There you go.
Eric, it's not my fault.
Oh, my God.
No,
Wow.
that ain't me.
Wowzers.
Sorry, that ain't me.
Wow.
I'm a big dude. I'm a scary looking fella, but that ain't me.
Hmm.
Not even close. But it's okay.
That's scary.
You know, Rob is my expert pranker from the military. What do you think, Rob? Should we set him up?
No. I wouldn't even do that to my worst enemy. God, no.
About your best friend?
Or my best friend. No.
It's so horrible. It is horrible.
No,
Real
I've
talk
seen
though,
that
you do
joke
you do
long
you
time.
do look royal. You do look royal. I mean, you know, you look like you could have been like from Coming to America. You could have played James Earl Jones'
Thinking about
character.
Eddie
Eddie Murphy.
Murphy.
You can tell. For real,
Hello.
you could be like, you know, go to America,
And I
but
got
I
the-
want you to come back and I want you to marry the girl that I chose for you. You know,
I got
so I could definitely see you pulling that off.
or he could bring in Black Panther 3.
I'll say if I ever see Polka Dot Boy again, I will cut his head off and let that head go down the ear. So don't know my rat. And nobody will disrespect my daughter in this land.
You're a natural. I'm telling you, you're a natural.
Let me ask you a question, David. This is not trying to knock on time. This is a serious question. Everybody that I know is from Africa. In the winter, they never wear jackets. They walk out with shorts, flip flops in the middle of a snowstorm. Is that you too?
Let me put it like this. Living in Africa, you live in the sun almost all your life. The amount of sun you're taking into your body is ridiculous. That's one. Some African people are immune to cold. My uncle will have the 80 crack acting maximum. Going to his bedroom like going to the meat freezer. And he have the after you know that the long that chicken that we wear, he will have that and slippers on, nothing underneath. And he say he's not cold, he relaxing. And I would look at him like, huh? So there's some African people, they love the cold feel of the breed or whatever. So if they come out with slipper, it's because they enjoy it. Because you try to live on our side of the world where the sun is not cooking you, slow roasting you.
Sound tasty.
The sweat is coming out. Your sweat is looking. It'll be okay. You won't be like you won't be white. You'll be looking a little. You look more like the Brazilian who got a certain tan
All
to a
right.
certain degree.
Pop quiz now.
It's hot.
I have a pop quiz for Rob because I want to see how his good knowledge is. Can you identify every weapon and every color and every name of each Ninja Turtle? Go.
Yeah, easy. You want me to do it alphabetically or by
Whatever.
appearance in the
Go ahead.
Leonardo?
Oh.
Leonardo is blue with a katana. Donatello is purple with a bow staff. Michelangelo is orange with the nunchucks, and Raphael has a sai, and he's got the original red. I have a bonus, so let's see how deep y'all's knowledge of the original movie. So the group was, I think, Partners in Crime, but the song was Turtle Power from the original
Yes.
movie.
Mhm.
In that song, who did they say was the leader of the team?
Splinter.
Raphael, I think Raphael.
Mr. Bennett, you are correct.
Yeah.
In that original song, they said Raphael was the leader of the team, and then when they did a re-release of the song a couple years ago, they corrected it and had Leonardo as the team. But yeah,
Leonardo.
Yeah.
yep.
Not
Now
surprised.
let me throw this one to the mix. They did a live action series, and they would end up having a fifth turtle. You know what color that person is?
Oh,
was-
What set that is?
She
The
was
Wasn't
a
that
light.
like pink?
She was
Pink or
light
purple, was
violet, and her name was Venus.
Yeah, I know it was her. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about that for a second, guys. What did you guys think about that? Rob, you want
I
to go?
don't recall that. Like I said, I haven't really followed the Turtles much. Like I said, after the first movie, like I said, I didn't like the two afterwards. The one that came out, I guess, what in 2015, I guess 2016, with the
Yeah.
CGI versions of them. I watched the first film then, but all that stuff in the middle, I haven't followed much, so I don't think I'd be able
So
to
I
answer.
have a little beef with the two movies. Before we do that one, Rob, to go around. Paul, you ready to talk? Rob, you want to go next about what you felt
Yeah.
about?
I mean, I don't care about, that doesn't bother me. It's just I didn't like that series because it was attempting to follow on to live action stuff on a TV budget. It was done by the same people that did Power Rangers, Saban, and it just looked cheap. It
Cheesy. It was
wasn't
very
that great.
cheesy.
Yeah, I
Okay,
I
yeah,
don't
now
have
I
a problem
remember.
with them bringing in additional turtles, but yeah, that show was horrible.
Yeah. What about you, Wally?
No, yeah, I remembered it. I just remembered it wrong. So her name is Venus, and she had a baby blue for hers. But
Mhm.
yeah, she was
Baby
like
blue.
in yeah, it was baby blue. It wasn't pink. I thought it was pink at first, but yeah, it was baby blue.
Does anybody remember what weapon she used?
I'm looking at it right. Wait, hold up. I don't. Yeah, because they don't show the weapon she had. I gotta look it up. But she had a particular. I forgot what weapon exactly she used. But yeah, but she was in the new no, sorry, Ninja Turtles: The Next Mutation. That was like back in the '97s live action TV
Hmm.
shows. Her origins, unlike the four turtles who were mutated as babies, Venus' origin story is different. She was somehow separate from the other turtles as a baby and raised in China, which, okay, interesting. Abilities, possess mystical abilities, and often uses orbs in combat. Okay, so she used orbs in combat.
Cheesy. But anyway. Okay, King Tufafa up there. Your turn.
Well, I'd agree with my Angel that the new Ninja Turtle, the next mutation, I found it was kind of comical. Yeah, it was made by Cyber the same people that did the Power Ranger. But could you notice at one point they did a cameo with the Power Ranger, which was kind of like,
Oh yeah, in space
okay,
they did it. In space
Yeah, yeah,
series.
yeah, it was
yeah,
a cameo.
yeah, and it's basically, but the question came to my mind like, okay, what in the blue
Actually, it
devil
was a
is
crossover.
Alpha going? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
That
are we
was
yeah.
taking?
crossover.
Are we taking? No, it was a crossover, but a crossover not needed
Oh yeah, no doubt.
because because think about it. What Angel Elf said earlier, they have a somewhat connection with the Daredevil. Then you take a detour and join It's like saying when you see that and you see all these adaptations, it creates confusion. Let's be honest right now. Because anyone who has followed the Ninja Turtle franchise from start to finish, you will question what is the original of all these stories? Because there's too many changes. Like what I remember I said earlier, the first Splinter, no, the first Shredder was more of a punk. Clang! Why am I? Yeah, it made it sound like a punk. Then later on, they kind of correct and make it a little more darker than what it is. I forgot what the adaptation was. They made it seem like the original Shredder is not the Shredder they had, because there was another Shredder with more of a demon. So I was trying to understand all these changes here. It let me know there's something missing. They need to redo it properly from start to finish, but this time, let it do away with all these multiple adaptation, because when you do too many adaptation, you throw it off. You make it look real bad. And remember I said earlier before about the cartoon and the anime thing? The anime have a level of consistency going on. But when it comes to cartoon, there's too much adaptation whereby it throw off multiple articles. You don't know which is the original, which one is not original, which one the best version, which one not the best version. So when they did that with five turtles for an action one and did a camera, it kind of like saying like, okay, you're making a mockery of the franchise now. What you could have done is stick to the storyline and done multiple seasons of it whereby it never ended. Perfect example, One Piece, Naruto. These are franchise that had so many episodes where you see the growth over time. You could have done the same thing with the Ninja Turtle. have better storyline. Not have better storyline, have better rivalry itself. And Shredder would have a better characteristic build up whereby it would be more iconic. Because you watch all these multiple adaptations, you gotta ask yourself which one was the best Shredder?
Oh,
And that will be a debate.
well, just to
I
add to what you said earlier, so this is what I looked up. So it says the Mirage comic Shredder. This is the original Shredder, and he's definitely the darkest. He's a reckless and cunning killer with a deep-seated hatred for the turtles. He also a skilled martial artist and strategist, making him a formidable opponent. Then, of course, they named off the '03 animation Shredder, and then IDW comic Shredder. But yeah, those are the three like top of, you would say, the darkest and the most strongest ones.
okay.
Hmm.
Hey, let me ask you guys something. Since certainly Angry Elf, since you have more familiarity with the franchise than probably most of us. April O'Neil, was she part of that original
Yeah.
grouping, and how was she portrayed? Because it seemed like for the movies, like I said, Eric, he loved the legs, so it's almost like in the movies, April's always like this sort of hot looking person, and who was the one from the Transformers? She was in, I guess, the latest movie franchise.
Megan Fox.
Megan Fox. So she's always been, but in the TV series, she was just kind of average or whatever. But it's like, in the movies, it's almost like they made you kind of fawn over her. Was she portrayed in a certain way in those original comics that was different than how the movies did it?
Yeah, one thing different about April was she was a lab assistant to Baxter Stockman. She wasn't a news reporter. That was changed and brought into the lore for that original cartoon. The second thing about April, and this came up with that most recent Mutant Mayhem movie that came out 2 years ago, whatever it was. When that incarnation decided to make April African American, and people, they're assholes out there that put got all upset about it. And then, but you go back to the original comics, and one, it's black and white, so you really can't tell. But the way you look at her, this April, you look at, she could she be? And I forget if it was Peter Laird or who was the other guy? I think it was Peter Laird. Anyways, Peter Laird was dating a mixed, or actually no, excuse me, his wife was, and she looked a lot like the incarnation of April in the original comics, and some of those colorized ones did have April with a darker complexion. So the argument can be made that maybe April was not that redhead that we saw in that first comic. And she most definitely didn't wear a yellow jumpsuit and was most definitely not a reporter.
Right.
That was done for the cartoon.
Right.
And so, so
strike again. Another case to be made again for the hypocrisy of the franchise, of all these Ninja Turtle fans and whatnot.
Here we go again.
Again, it's like, and it's weird. It's like everything, all the stuff comes out, especially when stuff gets fleshed out into the screen.
Yeah.
We can't even have a black mermaid, which is ridiculous too, because it's like they're mermaids. I mean, if anything, if they're aquatic, they're supposed to be like kind of, I don't know, blue skin, green skin, something like that. But because she looks like a black woman, then everyone kind of gets out in a way also. So yeah, I mean, it's just amazing how people, especially when you bring something into live action world or whatnot, how people just kind of how kind of trip out after that. But I'm glad you shared that. So again, April, they even changed her occupation for the sake of the cartoon, and then therefore the movie. So again,
yeah.
they've taken a lot of liberties there. Last question I had was on because one thing that I have seen, and I've seen it fleshed out, there was actually a live action, I'm sorry, I think an animated movie with the Turtles. So it was kind of like a cartoon / CGI type of thing. They weren't nearly as muscular or bulky or whatever, but it was just a different type of animation. But I thought it did the best as far as depicting the constant, I wouldn't call it even rivalry. It was like legitimate like tension between Raphael and Michelangelo. Like there was always seemed, and again, I don't know if this extends to did it always exist again in the comic book where they were always kind of jockeying for position in terms of who would be the leader. But in that one, it almost got to a point where it was like, would they even be brothers anymore? I mean, it was like really like the depiction of Raphael was so hostile and angry and
Yeah, it was very
jealous
tense.
of Michelangelo that it got to a point where it's like, man, it's like halfway through the film, I don't know how they're gonna resolve this. It was, I thought they really in that animated feature that they really explored that the most. But it's always been a theme throughout. Was it always the case in the comic, or has that kind of rivalry been again manufactured for the movie or the cartoons later on?
I mean, Raphael's always been the angry one. I think they've kind of spun it out more out of proportion and used that for conflict within the team. But
Yeah.
definitely, the problem is Leo's always been the chosen one.
He's technically he's the oldest, correct? They're not like they're twins or what. He's always been depicted as the oldest.
Right. Leo's and Michelangelo's depicted as the youngest, and in between the other two, I don't know who's the second and third
Right.
oldest or whatever. But yeah, it's always been, especially that one scene, if you remember from what really depicts it very well was that one scene in the first movie where Raphael and Leonardo are going at it, like what their next move should be as they're trying to go figure out where Splinter is. And Michelangelo and Donatello are sitting back. And Donatello looks over to Michelangelo and goes, "Pork rind?" Mikey takes it and goes, "Pork rind," and then just eats it, because those two just sat back and like, this is stupid. We shouldn't be fighting. We should be trying to figure out how to go find Master Splinter. But Tweedledee and Tweedledum want to argue over how to handle it. And then,
I'm sorry, Rob. Go ahead. Finish your saying. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say the next scene is Raph goes off and ends up getting his ass kicked by the Foot.
Yeah.
Ends up getting severely injured.
Correct.
And forces the Turtles and April and Casey Jones to, get out of town and go to the farm to recuperate.
Yeah.
And so, anyways.
Yeah. The movie I was referring to was the 2007 animated movie that came out. It was just labeled Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But yeah, that one they were like really like almost like a fight to the death kind of thing. I'm like, whoa, they're really taking this to another level beyond just, brothers just having a sibling rivalry there. It was
I found two articles pretty fast about their age. So this one says Ralph is between 17 and 18. Leo is between 13 and 14. Michelangelo is between 12 and 13. And Donatello is between he's about 15-ish, they say. But another article says they all are 15 years old, but the order is, as said, Leo, Ralph, Michelangelo, Donatello.
Okay.
Yeah, I got something different. I got Leonardo as the oldest. I got Raphael as the second one. Donatello is the third. Wait, it's neither they said, because the way how they said it is that he's the second youngest. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. And then they said Michelangelo is the youngest. So
second youngest or the third oldest.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So pretty much they said Donatello is the third one, and then Michelangelo would be the youngest, which makes more sense because he's the more goofiest one of them all.
Yeah.
And technically, if not mistaken, they're not actually brothers. They're from a different tank, from different hatches.
Has always been. As time progressed, they started to play with where the Turtles came from and who's this and who's that. But if you go back to the original stuff, they always like they were always depicted looking very, very similar. The only way you were able to really tell them apart just by looking at them was what weapons they held.
Right, right.
Exactly, because they literally look similar, unless they were like different breed of turtle, and then
Right.
there's no depiction of them being.
Well, yeah. Well, the recent movies, I think they really
Yeah.
made that. I mean, Raphael was huge. I mean, ridiculously muscular and just totally just jacked out. And whereas, you know, not that Leonardo was again very small, like almost human size. But I mean, I thought they went overboard with Raphael. Like he was. Dude was on roids or whatever. He was, I mean,
Yeah, but I
he
think
was
that
just-
pays tribute to.
he was like the
fact that
Hulk
weaponry-
more so than anything.
Yeah, but I think that pays tribute to their weaponry, because you also got to think about it with the sides. The sides are more defense based, so it's like you would have to be you got to be really strong to be defensive with some weapons that look like you can just easily break.
Yeah.
So yeah, you would have to be more keen. Whereas, Leonardo, he would have to be more loose, so he was not as more tone as Raphael is. So he has to be more loose with it just to swing the swords around and everything else. So yeah.
So, Rob, what do you think about the newer versions of the movie?
You talking about the Michael Bay stuff or the Mutant Mayhem cartoon?
Mac and Bay.
No, I mean I watched them. They were okay. They're good for a watch. No, I'll stick to my 1990 and the 2007. I mean, I even went and saw the animated one by Seth Rogen, Mutant Mayhem, with my daughter, and that one was okay. Wasn't anything to write home about. So no, I'll stick to the 1990s.
So my issue with the originals are a very simple one. The first movie I thought was decent, to be honest with you, Rob. I think the first one was very decent. It was a decent movie, good entertainment, but I won't say I put it in my classics. I think the Ninja Turtles the original, the first movie and the Secret Ooze are the best two movies ever made, in my opinion, and turtle wise.
Yeah.
Talking about. Now here is where I have an issue. Now when they made the second one, it was under a year. It was rushed.
Yeah.
They knew they had cash grab, and they go, let's make a movie.
Yeah.
Fast.
Plus, they were taking. I mean, that was the one I think had Vanilla Ice in it, right?
The second one.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
so. Wasn't he in the second one?
What are you talking about?
Yeah, Vanilla Ice. That's basically where the final battle happens with the two.
Rat
Yep, go ninja, go ninja, go.
Yeah.
Don't get me.
But again, they were just trying
Rob.
to take advantage. That's the theater again, trying to put all together. Because again, you had that
Vanilla Ice.
Ice Baby, which I like. I'm one of a few black people who admits that I loved Ice Baby. Now, there's a lot more people who are underground lovers of Ice Baby. Yeah, you know you loved it. You know when it came on in the car, you were just doing like this also. So there's a lot of haters out there. A lot of people hated on Vanilla Ice back in the day. I loved it. I'm like, that's one of my guilty pleasure songs of all time. And yes, he did steal the beat from Queen's Under Pressure. Yes, I get that. But nevertheless, though, everybody was biting off of James Brown or whoever it is back then. So everybody was doing it. So I'm not going to blame him. But
the 90s version. I'm talking about the 2015 version. And
okay.
That was really rushed. Because from the first movie Ninja Turtles to the Secret Ooze, it was a 2 or 3, maybe 4 year gap before they made. No, what was it? I was too young to remember.
No, they came out like one year after another, right?
That was the one that was rushed between Ninja Turtles and Secret of the Ooze, part 1 and part 2.
Like 1 year.
That was
it came
the
out
rushed
the next
one.
year.
But yes, exactly, because the studios were all about. New Line wanted that money, and they wanted to capitalize, and they didn't want to wait. And so that was the rush.
And there was a huge following for that movie.
Oh,
yep.
I'd say it was crazy. It was
Personally, I thought it was a decent movie, but again, I was a kid when I knew anything back then. But I feel the 20 they did that means they made the same mistake twice as fucking idiots. They made that same mistake in the 90s, and they made it back in 2015 or 2016. They rushed that movie too.
Well, no,
But what's funny about the Ninja
Out of
Turtles
the
that
Shadows came
those
out 2
first
years
two
later.
movies,
Was it 2 years?
Uh-huh.
mhm. But here's the thing: that first two Ninja Turtle movie helped a lot of pizza shop to sell pizza, which is kind of ironic.
Pizza and pork rinds, absolutely.
It was I don't know what it was about that Ninja Turtle movie. A lot of pizza shop were having a hard time to keep up making pizza for people who wanted to see that movie. They were loving that. It was like a pizza magnet.
Bro, the opening scene of the Secret of Ooze was like pizza here, pizza there. It was like every
Oh
pizza
yeah.
shop you got.
But the first one had the better pizza scene. Mikey on the phone as they're arguing, at least Raphael's arguing with Splinter about his lost sign. He's sitting there ordering it and rattling off all these toppings, and it has the whole spiel about and no anchovies. And if you put anchovies on this pizza, I'm gonna. And Splinter throws a book at him, and he goes, that's it.
And everybody used
Rob,
that
I
as a
gotta give you
joke.
credit. You did a good job of that. I should have. We should have had like a little clip there. One actually.
Well,
Yeah,
the
but the
next
thing is,
one is
that phrase
that,
right there, a lot of people use it.
and then
No, what I'm saying, that phrase he just mentioned right now, no anchovy. What
if
you
you
just
put
said, a lot of
anchovies
people
on
use
this
that phrase
pizza.
when they're calling the pizza shop.
But the best scene is
Everybody was using it. I was like, wow.
the best was a couple scenes later when Donatello and Mikey are waiting for the pizza dude to show up, and you know Donatello's trying to be all philosophical with Mikey, and he's just sitting there eating that ice pop, and goes, "That's it, $3 off." And Donatello's like, "What?" And then the pizza guy shows up, which ironically is a Domino's pizza guy, and he was one of the actors that I forget which turtle he played, but he was one of the bodysuit actors, and he's like trying to
Yeah.
find it, and it's at whatever the address and a half, and it was they had a cut in the sewer grate just enough for a pizza box to sit through it, and he's like, "Right here, dude." And he passed the pizza down, and he passes the money up, and what do you mean? Where's the tip? And he goes, wise man say, forgiveness is divine, but never pay full price for late pizza. Yes, I have seen this movie
I remember
more
that.
than once.
I remember that. I remember that. Yeah, that was clever.
And I hate to say that, that was the second phrase people were trying to use on a lot of pizza shop. If you come late with my pizza, you pay you less. It became an argument. Now, I forgot what pizza franchise said if our pizza come late, it's on a dick. I forgot. Was it Pizza Hut
No, it was
or
Domino's.
Domino Pizza was
Domino's,
doing that?
and they got it from the movie. I think when the movie came out, Domino's probably blew the fuck up.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
no,
Well, you know what?
no,
They were going to use it in the marketing campaigns. Absolutely.
Domino's had that whole like 30 minutes guarantee, or
Right.
whatever, $3 off or whatever it was, and they had to stop doing that. I forget. I think it was in the early 90s, because what used to happen is it didn't matter if the pizza shop was slow or getting slammed. They still had this guarantee, and I forget where it was, but a pizza delivery guy was racing because he's on the clock. He's almost out of time. Causes a car accident, and I think he killed a couple of people in that car
Ooh.
accident because like
Wow.
he blew a red light or something. I forget all the details. All I remember was Domino's in the whole spiel of this got sued, and after that lawsuit, they were like, "Forget this, like 30 minutes or less," spiel. But yeah, that was
I
from
remember I was in high school when they were doing that still.
oh yeah,
Yeah. And you know which one I remember too? I know this is off topic. When Domino's were experimenting with drawing cars. They used to a car used to pull up and you had to put a pin in it and open and go, doo, 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 and the music would
Oh.
come out and the picture would come nice and hot and everything because the car was all heated like a warmer like my kitchen's at work.
Yeah.
And you take it and you're like, please stand back, car's driving away. And close it and make it doo, 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 and then drive away. I don't know if you guys remember that. It was like early.
I don't remember that, but I do remember like they had, I guess, the containers that they had the pies in. Somehow they were able to keep the pies warm in within the containers. That I remember, but I remember that one specifically.
Well, technically, Domino's is not called Domino's Pizza anymore. It's called Domino's Restaurant now.
Yeah, it's like Dunkin' Donuts. They dropped the donut off because I guess they started making more money with their lattes and all that kind of stuff. It's like
well,
donuts is like the afterthought now.
well,
Yeah.
it's funny you said that. I've been arguing with your boy Eric lately about Krispy Kreme versus Dunkin' Donuts.
Don't start it.
We are not doing a
Oh
showdown
yes, we
now,
are.
so let's leave that one alone. Oh,
And we already know we're gonna win. Dunkin' Donuts, Dunkin' Donuts is gonna lose, and Krispy Kreme is gonna win. I guess
I'm not eating two
No,
different donuts
and
to,
I'm
to
going to
prove
tell you
anything.
this right now. Unless you've been to Boston or spent any amount of time in New England, where there are legitimately Dunkin' Donuts on almost every street corner. I mean,
Donkeys.
I've seen it. I've seen it where Dunkin' Donuts are across the street from each other because this highway, there was no crossover, and traffic goes one way, traffic comes the other way, and there was no way to turn around and get across the street. So they would legitimately have, like, you could throw a rock and hit the other Dunkin'
Yeah.
Donuts.
Oh, to try it, it's
Yeah.
like they got one of the worst traffic systems. I think in like downtown Boston, I hear it's like the worst to drive around. So yeah, you're better off, even if
These
they're
used
across
to
the
be
street
bad
from
for
each other.
me.
You're better off just having a second store there. You'd be fine.
I never
When I
been
li-
to. Go ahead, Rob. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, when I lived in Massachusetts, in the suburbs of Boston, I would refuse to drive into Boston. I would take the transit and the T in before I would do anything.
Yeah.
And the handful of times that I did drive into Boston, it bit me in the ass. And one of them, not to get completely off topic, but it is kind of on season. It was right after it was in 2002, right after the Patriots won the Super Bowl. I drove into Boston to go celebrate. Dude, my car got stuck in the traffic. It was the worst mistake I ever made. It was a fight to find parking, and once I did park, it was a nightmare. But oh, it was a great party. Anyways,
Did you
back
go?
on
Did you
topic.
go the next year? I think when the Red Sox won in 2003. Did you?
Oh,
Were
in
you in that?
2004? No, I was already in the army by that
2004.
point.
Yeah,
I
you're
was
right. Yeah, 2004.
I was in Germany when that happened. I was listening on the radio though.
Wow. Yeah.
Well, Rob, the first problem was you rooted for the Patriots. That's the first problem. You're supposed to be. I thought you were a Giant fan like CQ.
Oh, that's my dad. No, no, I'm not.
I
No,
gotta talk to
no.
CQ. Reconsider your friendship with him and our friendship now.
So how those two Super Bowl losses to the Giants and Eli Manning, how those family gatherings go?
We don't talk about it.
Oh, we're gonna talk about it,
That
Rob.
had to hurt, man. Especially the 18-1 season that you had Randy Moss and you guys were just plowing through everybody, and then get
Yep.
to the Super Bowl and
I
yeah.
By the
that
last of
first.
and to make more put more salt on the wound for you, it was literally the last. What was it like? 10 minutes, 5 minutes on the clock, or something like 2 minutes on the clock. It was by the time they turned the ball around and they Giants won. You guys, it was like 30 seconds left. You couldn't come back to that if you even tried.
It's just everything that could go wrong. The catch, the helmet catch, and all that. I mean, it was like everything that could have
And
went wrong in
I
that game went
remember
wrong.
at the time I was dating a girl and she was a huge Patriots fan. Tom Brady. She threw the biggest fit. She was just slamming, kicking. She literally ran to her room, starts pounding on her bed, crying like you took a toy away from her. Like it's a game. It's not that serious. But some people, it is that serious.
Oh, it
Mhm.
is.
I don't know. Go away. I don't want to go away from the topic, but I can't say it's a game because in some sport it becomes life and death. Perfect example: soccer. Did a guy
Soccer is a
who
different
named
story, bro. You're gonna
Escobar?
fight over soccer.
No, people died soccer game. I mean,
He
Europe,
did a
please.
own
That,
goal. No, and he did a own goal. When he went back to his country, he got murdered afterward. And ever since then, they made it a term. When you score an own goal, you say you did an Escobar. You think people losing their cool over football were bad? Oh God! The English Premier League. I would never want to be at the stadium when two major rivalry are in the stadium and they're in a blick cold and they're all bare chested. I know, and they will be looking at them like,
Yeah, it's brutal. I
Oh,
mean, you see in those
worse than
games, you got
NFL.
the riot police are out and the tear gas and whatnot. Nah, people,
What?
that's some yeah.
What? Soccer got the riot police
It can
out.
be really bad of those
Not
games.
football, not the NFL, not NFL. NFL did get a couple of police
It
officers.
depend. I mean, there've been
Soccer get the
not like
riot police
Europe. I
officer
mean,
out.
like you got some Eagles games. I
Yeah.
heard fights. If you're a Giants fan and you go to an Eagles game, you're asking for a fight. So I've heard that back in the day with when the Raiders were in Oakland. If you were like a
Yeah.
rival or something like that, yeah, you get. So there were certain situations, but in terms of like crowd control where things really got out of hand, it was definitely Europe is
Well,
you need to be careful there.
I remember I was
So
a security
when
guard at the Boston Red Sox playing against the Yankee, and I had to break all these
Oh,
5 fights. Boston Red Sox fan coming to the Bronx. Do you know how many fights I had to break out the security guard? I had to do with Action Jackson jumping off, breaking one fight. There's another up there. I had to whoop, whoop, and I hate it, but I was wearing a uniform like a suit while trying to break. I didn't. This would look weird
well, as you
for a
told me,
black
David,
guy,
everything's
big,
weird.
bouncing, jumping off the rail.
Yeah,
So
I'm
hang on a
telling you,
second, David.
baseball
So
fight are worse too.
yeah. So two things. One, when I grew up in Greece, obviously soccer is humongous in Europe and Greece. I saw on TV. My grandma never let me go to a soccer game for a reason. I know now. I know why. SWAT team and the military was at those games
hmm
because they're all ready to shoot and kill and care. They're literally
Damn,
ripping the chairs out of the seat,
damn.
throwing it in the middle. But I'm like, it was that how bad it was. Second, when I was in college, I went to college down in Exton, PA, right outside of Philly, maybe 30 minutes. A Jet
Right.
fan, a New York fan, and a Giant fan in Philly. Yeah. I remember
Not
walking in with
fair.
my Giant fan in school, well, I got these looks like, and we were doing really good those years too back then. And I was like, and I used to purposely wear my Giants shirts that day when they always lose to the Eagles. I mean, I went to win,
That might have saved your life. Them losses. You come out winning, I don't know, bro. Your tires might get slashed or something. I'm just saying. So yeah,
that's best
no,
case
that
scenario.
might be
I went
that
in,
might be
I
the
went
only
to
saving
school those
grace
days.
is that they
No,
win.
I had it backwards, Paul. The day I brought my jerseys in is when the Giants won against the Eagles.
Mm.
So yeah, let's say I test the fires really well. But before we go, guys, before we do our final thoughts, predictions for tomorrow. What do you guys think?
Do we
Mahomes
need to?
Mahomes three-peats, and he's the greatest of all time. Especially if he gets the Super Bowl MVP, he's the GOAT.
Okay,
It's
so
gonna.
you're going with what team, Paul?
Kansas City.
All right, there's one for Candace. Rob.
I mean, I'm not going to argue. I believe the Chiefs are going to win. I'm going to root for Philly all day, all because I want the underdog. But I want Philly to win. I want to see the Chiefs go down. So, but I believe the Chiefs are going to win tomorrow.
Rob, I thought we were friends.
All right.
Wally.
So we come to this nasty conversation. Look, respectfully, I really don't got no one. I don't care for whoever wins. They both can kiss my ass. Literally, they both kiss my ass. But look, respectfully though, look, as far as like when it comes to both these two teams, I've literally said this: like Eagles win, defense, run game. That's really what it is. Chiefs win. That's because of the Chiefs. That's it. I don't really care for who wins. Like I don't care. Yes, who can cry because someone's not being voted for. I don't care. Better that I didn't choose than choose.
I think our next town hall meeting, we might have a little conversation, me and you. David,
Yes, me being the dick.
we got.
You might want to get the bazooka ready.
Oh, hey, my finger's been on the whole thing. The whole
Everyone's voting against it.
I would
if you
say
say
this
you
right
swear
now. The
fucking
way I
God,
look
I'm
at
gonna
it,
fucking kick you in the
if
balls so
if
hard and be in your mouth.
if my home win this, if my home win this, he will be considered to be either the LeBron James in football right now. That's what they're talking about throughout the whole weekend ESPN, which is kind of ironic. But I hate wins. It's more up to the other leader who deflate gave football controversy to win the Super Bowl. Now, I would
Talk
like to
about
see
it.
the Eagle win.
Talk
They do
about
need
it.
another
I mean,
championship.
could he really be a cheater though?
They do need it. But
Yeah, Ron.
the way it's been talked throughout this whole week, a matchup that this is everybody expect to see who would make the mistake. But there's too much pressure on both ends. Mahomes, well, he
Is
win
there
this one.
really too much pressure on both ends or just one end?
All right.
It's more on the Mahomes side
Okay.
because they want him to win so he can erase the other guy
Really?
record.
There ain't no pressure on Mahomes. That dude
You guys
will
want to
keep
put some
on
money on
winning shit.
this?
There ain't no pressure on that man. I don't want to hear that.
You guys want to put a little money on this tomorrow?
So you think so you
20
think
bucks
it's
a head?
pressure on the
No.
Eagle?
Screw you
Quarterback?
and your money. No.
I'll put $20 in Candace.
Have fun with that. I know a lot of
That's
people
an
that
easy
betting
bet.
on that same bet. I ain't riding with it.
Mm.
I think they're gonna win that game. To be honest with you. Plus, I like a piss off.
I mean, I won't be surprised.
I like a piss off every Eagle fan I know out there too. So when I go back to work because I have this little Jamaican woman who's a humongous Eagles fan. She's been singing the whole week. Eagles fly. I'm like, if you say Eagles fly one more time, I swear to God, I'm gonna fucking stab somebody.
See, this is the problem with see, someone's gonna cry Sunday. I'm gonna laugh too because I'm gonna be like, "This is what happened when y'all get too invested." It's just football people.
Yeah.
Plus, I like seeing. I know there's what they call Chiefs fatigue, just like there's been Yankees fatigue, or when guys are dominant. For one, I like seeing for a time. I know it can't go on forever, but just like remember when Mike Tyson was like at his apex, or when you see greatness like in front of you, Remember like my dad's generation was like Muhammad Ali. Remember like before the drafting thing and like before like from 64 to 67, it was like you were watching something that was just like, what is this? Like, what am I seeing? So I like seeing it. So I want the three-peat more so than anything because, again, it's never been done. And don't talk about the 65, 66, 67 Packers. They were still just now getting away from leather helmets back then. So I don't want to hear about the Packers and when they had like 12 teams in the NFL and there was no competition and few, black players were just getting integrated into the game.
Yeah,
so I
but
don't want
no
to hear
one really
about.
mentions that anyways.
I'm just saying, right? But you've had some people say, well, technically the Packers won 3 championships, but again, I'm talking about in the Super Bowl era.
Yeah, Packers.
So I
but who's the
like to
quarterback, though?
see, yeah, but I like
that's
to
the
see
thing.
what the when you see like generational talent. Like remember when Tiger Woods was like almost like every major. It was just everybody tuned in because you wanted to see him either get the triple crown, whatever they call it, all 4. He was just so dominant until all that scandal stuff happened, and he kind of had his fall off. So I want to see how long that can ride out because, again, we may not see. I don't know if in our lifetime will we ever see another Tiger Woods, another Michael Jordan, another Mike Tyson. Like I said, for that period from like 85 to 88. When it was just like he mesmerized you, you just saw that greatness every night.
I agree.
I want to see if Mahomes can he be in that world because even Brady he went 10 years between Super Bowls before he got to 7, so it was like 2 different eras that he played in. But I want to see what Mahomes can he solidify that status where he's like what he's in the conversation and to see if he can pass it because the guy's only 29 years old. So he's got another like 10 years of prime play to even be even more so define his case. So if he does it here, then it's like, could he do it again next year? I don't know. But, he's done it in a lot of different ways as well. So I like seeing that. Like I said, these are the moments where, you be telling your grandkids later on about these things where like when my dad talks about Muhammad Ali back in the day and what he meant to people. I mean, I want to see that.
Yeah, I agree with you, Paul. Before we get our final thoughts, I want to say one thing from one of our special friend of the channels, and it's his birthday today. I want to wish Coach Furry, a very, very happy birthday.
Coach.
Watching. So if you guys have his number or Facebook, please reach out to him, wish him a happy birthday. And I texted him this morning for acting like he was surprised. I like, how did you know? Like, I make it my business to know. I went to him very simple. So Trey, my man, happy birthday. If you need any advice on beards, come see me. Except that, David, you go first. Elf second. Paul third, and Wally last because you came in last. So this is the order we came in, and nothing personal, guys. Hoping like so.
Actually, I thought
Hey,
I
the
came
best
in
always
last.
say for last. The best always say for last. Come on now.
No,
That's right. Talk your stuff. Talk your stuff, Wally. Go ahead.
Well, I'll just say this. This is the proof what I say about when it comes to franchise, when they're constantly rebooting themselves, it's kind of like deterred from the originality of the merchandise or the storyline. So this is another example why I said cartoons suck, animes are better because they're consistent. Now, don't get me wrong, I grew up on the Ninja Turtle franchise over the period of time, and I did criticize it as much as I do. If they're going to be doing it all over again, I would say get back to the original story, do it justice so it can wipe out all these other adaptations once and for all and have one constant and build from that. Not to keep or give it too many watered down or bloated version of it because it kind of sucks. Other than that, I say this Turtle franchise need help. That's my view.
I think that 40 years is a testament. Turtles is going to be around for a long while. I think the where the Turtles excel is definitely in the animated realm, especially on TV. The 2012 cartoon was probably one of the better cartoons out there. Ran for 5 seasons, if I recall correctly. But Turtles Mania will wane and wax, but I don't think it's going anywhere. I can't wait to see the next evolution of the Turtles, and yeah, definitely needs to get back to the source material, like David said, get back to where it started from, and but I don't think it's going anywhere, and I love it. I'm here for it.
Well, it was certainly what David just mentioned earlier about the anime. It would be, I think the anime format might be the only vehicle for which, if you want to get something close to the original comic, then the anime space might be the only place to do that. And so certainly I would look forward to seeing something like that if they ever got the opportunity to do an anime version of the Turtles. That would be interesting. Outside of that, again, the general question of how often do you keep recycling franchises over and over again? We're getting another Superman franchise, this year. How often are you going to keep rebooting things, and how many do you essentially need? That's something that certainly the Turtles challenges that. I think like I said, the original movie is probably still my favorite out of all the movies that came out. The one that came out, I think, in 2015, maybe a close second. But outside of that, it's certainly like it has staying power, even though the bastardized version, because that's what a lot of these guys talk about, the bastardized version that we've been fed for 30 something years. Nevertheless, it's a testament to what what people have done, and again with the marketing and everything else that goes along with it. It just goes to show that even in the movie medium, even though we may not all appreciate it, but you can't say it's not successful. And I don't know how much the whole franchise made. It's probably in the billions if you add everything up. But kudos to keep the keep this thing going.
Look, man. Final thoughts on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Well, one of the few things I don't think so. We mentioned this character, give or take, but I'm definitely gonna mention this character because she was actually one of my more favorite characters in the more animation cartoonic series of the all, and that was Kare. Yeah, Kare, one of the generals of the of the Foot Soldiers or the Foot Clan under Shredder, which is also sometimes depicted as Shredder's daughter. Which again, literally, again, if you know the cartoon that I'm talking about here, where you eventually find out that this is nothing but an alien brain with some literally, still to this day, still pisses me off that they did that and they went that far. Still pisses me off because literally, massive problematics of scenarios and everything else of that nature. Still, I'm looking at that and I'm like, yeah. Other than that, there was some other inspirations for Teenage Ninja Turtles other than the Frank Miller's Daredevil though, and that was the new Teen Titans slash X-Men, where it was like the more superhero type theme team. So that's why they did like the Teenage Mutants. So yeah, as you know, Teenage where for the Teen Titans, and then of course Mutants, aka the X-Men, the Ronin series, which was another one that was led by Frank Miller. If you also know, like it was Raphael that ended up playing like the Ronin type scenery when he went rogue and went on his own terms. And then of course, like there was like I guess the funny animal type comics like inspirations. But one thing's for sure, for me at least, one of my favorite characters was Raphael because literally I personally do believe that he was the strongest character amongst the brothers. And the reason why I say that is because if you remember that one time when they had between him and Leonardo fought, it may seem that Leonardo, handled him, but let's be real. When Raphael really got in his bag, look, Leonardo was a chump when it comes to Raphael. I'm sorry, just a chump. Which is pretty much why I guess he don't have the swords or the leader because he would be murking motherfuckers. And that's just that. And plus, honestly, he represents all the hotheads out there. AKA, yes indeed. What else can I honestly say? Other than that, I think that's like the best. Like those are pretty much the main things I just wanted to add in there that we probably missed. But yeah, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
So, I gotta agree with Wally for the first time. Raphael was the coolest character out there.
He said it the first time, like it wasn't the second time, or the third, or the fourth.
Shut up.
You've reached your limit on talking. Shut the fuck up.
I think Rob gets a kick out of that button every time. So, this week, guys, schedule update will be no show tomorrow. Enjoy the Super Bowl because I will. I've been loving seeing the Eagles lose once again, and that's my prediction for tomorrow. But we'll be back on Wednesday. Wally and David will be talking about Gundams. What are they going to talk about? Which franchise exactly? Tune in to find out. And on Thursday, we'll be talking about the contract of love. Should marriage have an expiration date? So, yeah, we're going to have a nice conversation on that one. That's an interesting one. And next Saturday, we'll be going over Mafia movies, Power, Loyalty, and Legends. So, I've been looking forward for that one for a while. So, if you know your Mafia history movies, please join us. And please catch Rob at Pop Culture Warrior with CQ when he takes another sick day because he's actually at the movies.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what happens this week. He bowed out last week, so Mad Mike must have been because Mad Mike is now the pop culture warrior. I don't care. CQ and I are the co-hosts. Mad Mike's running the show now. I don't care. I'm and you can quote me on that. I've told CQ to his virtual face.
Actually, all joking aside, CQ is under the weather. I do hope he feels better.
Yeah.
He was literally he was like in a coma in bed for like 3 days when I spoke to him on Wednesday. So hopefully he feels better soon. Except that, guys. Dave, you got anything else? David.
He either froze or fell asleep.
Yeah, but I'm doing my little research about. I know. My body going to some metamorphosis. I don't know what the hell is going on to me right now. All my nerves in my body is on fire.
All right. So, Mr. President, anything else on your side?
No, we're good. We're good.
Wally?
Just I'm gonna throw this quick little nugget. As far as should marriage have an expiration date? Yeah, it's called to death to us part. I don't know what part of death that comes into, but yeah.
And last and not least, Angry Elf. Anything else?
Party on, dude.
All right, guys. This was another edition of the Operation Hangout on Spartan HQ Network. As always, I'm your host, Ghost of Sparta. Please stay safe, stay fresh, and I'll see you guys on the next one.
All right, Jen.